So I'm sitting here in New York City. It's been a dream of mine to get onto the water out here. I've never done it before. And what we're gonna be doing today is going into a tutorial about how to raise your vibration, or the general topic of energy work. Now, what this means is we're gonna teach you how to be happier as a general habit, and all the different ways that your mood is being affected, and all of the different ramifications of this to change your life, to make you more resilient, to make you more resourceful, to make you a better person, to make you enjoy life more, to make you healthier. There's amazing benefits to this, but even as I say this, it's kind of a funny thing, because what we're gonna be going into is actually a form of pseudoscience or pseudopsychology. Now, what that means is that unlike modern psychiatry, which is generally more mainstream approved, or it's been a little bit more thoroughly researched by people who are doing it in a more scientific way, this is more at the cutting edge. What that means is that there's certain topics that will be at the fringe of the mainstream or the fringe of formal science, and usually as they get some momentum later on down the line, maybe in 50 or 100 years, people will study them a little bit more. So this is going to be a little bit ahead of its time, and as I teach you about this idea of raising your vibration or energy awareness, please understand that this is not an exact science, and it should never, never be taken dogmatically. So I grew up in a pretty rough situation, and I was really depressed, really miserable. My life was pretty much a train wreck. I've made other videos about that. You can look them up. And I remember when I was younger, I had the belief that if I could just get my life together, suddenly life would be very satisfying. And so I worked really hard to get my dating life under control. I put so much time into that. Learned to do things like marketing, build a business. I wound up moving to Hawaii. I lived oceanfront. I would stay there with my girl in this oceanfront balcony apartment, hooking up every night, going to 5-star dinners, traveling the world. And I hit a point where I noticed that I didn't feel any different. It was pretty weird. Why would I feel any different when I finally had my life together? And I can remember for years, I was obsessed with, if I could just be happy when. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. And I would tell myself this story. Rather than being present to the moment, I would project into the future about when I was ready to start living. I would start living my life at this point where I had all my ducks in a row. So for a brief moment, I had my ducks all in a row. I mean, I could even argue that while my business is a lot bigger now, my ducks were in many ways more in a row back then, because frankly, things were simpler. I mean, it was definitely a much better lifestyle business back then, even though it was also challenging. And really, I hit the point where all my ducks were in a row, and I started to notice that I would still focus on the same things that would annoy me. And I'd still sit there. I'd be on, say, a boat like this. Although this is my first time in New York. I mean, this is so crazy. But I'd be on a boat like this, or bodyboarding a wave, or whatever it is. And I would wonder, why is it that I'm bodyboarding a wave in Hawaii and I still feel the exact same? Why don't I feel any different? Why didn't it work? It didn't work. I thought this was supposed to work. Drove me crazy. And what happened was I actually became angrier and angrier and angrier, and I became very reactive, and I had a lot of negativity in my mind. And at one point I hit this complete breaking point, because what I realized was I was building this entire character called Owen, who I thought would make me get love, but I wasn't giving love to myself. Also, I kept training my mind to think I'll be happy when, but never actually pausing to be happy. So even if I would be on that wave, which I'd worked so hard to build this incredible lifestyle to enjoy, even if I'd be hooking up with some beautiful person, even if I would be eating this amazing food at a restaurant, I would just be looking in my cell phone, thinking how annoyed I am at maybe some frustration in the business, or thinking that there's some other person who disrespected me, or someone who thought the wrong thing, I was misunderstood, I can't control something, maybe this other situation is unsafe, I'm not sure what's gonna happen, I was dumb, I'm attacking myself, I need a reality to look in a certain way. And this just went on for a very long time. Now, it's weird because as the pressure mounted, I finally hit this weird breaking point where my mind just snapped. And I went into what in Eastern philosophy they'd call kind of like a Zen state, or a present to the moment state, where I felt almost this weird bliss feeling for 3 or 4 days, and I had very little thinking. Now, to be clear, sitting here at 40, because that happened to me when I was around 26, it's possible that my regular life is similar to that now. I'm actually not sure. I think sometimes if you've been in a really, really cold bath and you get put in even a lukewarm bath, it feels like bliss. So it's possible that I wasn't even that present, or it wasn't even that powerful, I don't know. But that was at least how it felt at the time, the way that I experienced it subjectively. And it really messed me up, because I remember being aware of this and then having to reconsider my entire lifestyle. Why am I even doing this? Is this lifestyle even conducive to being happy? Now that I'm happy, would I even be doing this full time? What do I even think of this? What do I make of it? A total mess of my mind. So as a result of that, I became very present. And then weirdly, after 4 or 5 days of that, I got super negative, because it was like a pendulum that wound up, and I got super negative, and I went in almost like this hell realm while alive. I felt paranoid. I felt negativity creeping in my mind. It was like all that feeling that I had was being pulled back. And I remember I even got sick, and I got a migraine. The whole thing was crazy. It was like my body wasn't ready for it, and the pendulum swung back. After that experience, I went back roughly to normal, but I had a new context. And so I wanted to research what it was that I'd experienced. So I remember that somebody sent me this book, or they sent me videos actually online of Eckhart Tolle. And I'd seen videos of Eckhart Tolle. He wrote a book called The Power of Now, another one called A New Earth. I love Power of Now, it sets the foundation, but I like A New Earth even better. And these are books that are based in Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Zen philosophy, but he kind of updated them for a more modern age, so they're kind of trendy. And I read these books, and what it basically did was it kind of gave me a context and backwards engineered what it was that I'd experienced for those 4 days. So from that point, I started getting a meditation practice and just meditating and learning to become more present in 2006. And what I realized all of a sudden was, wait a minute, I built my entire life out as good as amazing as I could, but I still didn't have the ability to be happy. And what I realized at that point was I was gonna have to sort of cultivate my palate. Now, what do I mean by cultivate my palate? What I mean is, I realized that even if your life's amazing, it's not gonna inherently tickle you. It's not just gonna make you feel good. I've seen this even when I help people in their dating lives, and they have an amazing success in their dating lives, and they'll say to me, Owen, I feel like what didn't even really matter. I felt like I'm not even any happier. I was so convinced I'd be happy. The underlying fallacy here is that external reality has complete control over your emotional state. I would definitely say it's a lot easier to be happy out here than it is to be happy when you're being tortured or miserable or in a horrible life situation. I'm not a full extremist on this. Some people are spiritual extremists on this. They would say that even in the worst situation ever, you should be happy. If your children came to harm, you could just be happy anyway. Eckhart Tolle, actually, I feel he has a more moderate view. He says that you can at least accept it and have an underlying current of presence, even though in the external world, you're kind of miserable. So the basic shift of it, he actually calls it acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. So he wants to get it where at least your baseline, even if you're miserable, you can at least accept it and not resist it and make it worse by resisting it. And then you could even be excited or super enthusiastic. I might have got those ones wrong, but that was the general idea he said, which I liked. I felt it was more moderate. So I studied that, and I realized that I would have to learn how to control my own state. And so I wanted to dig more deeply into this idea of being present to the moment, of letting go, of non-resistance. These are Eastern philosophies that basically would show you that you want to be raising your vibration. And I gotta tell you, I do admit I have a bit of an unfair advantage, and here's what it is. Once you've already gotten your general ideal life, you will hit a point where it's easier to accept that it's not gonna make you happy. If you've never had that amazing romantic partner, if you haven't, let's call it lived in some amazing, oceanfront apartment or New York apartment, whatever. If you haven't had that, it's hard to let this land, what we're talking about, because you haven't experienced it firsthand. And so for that reason, I also like teaching you how to achieve your materialistic goals or your social goals or success goals, because I do feel that on a certain level, it will help you to accept this and come to these conclusions a little bit more easily. You're not going to struggle with it as much because you've kind of been down that path. But as I am helping you in those areas, which I do in many videos, I would hope that you'll at least keep that underlying perspective in mind, that ultimately it's not going to automatically make you happy, okay? It's not what you take from life, it's also what you give in life. It's what you give to life. So that there is the basic foundation of energy work, of raising your vibration, that you start to realize that in many ways, it's that ability to give, or that ability to be in non-resistance, or that ability to be present to the moment. And as you do that, it creates an entirely new context for everything that you're doing in the material world. So that being the case, I think what I'd like to do next, I'd like to drill down on what exactly is high vibration energy, or at least get a general idea, because I don't think I know perfectly, but get a general idea, also get a general idea of low vibration energy and what that is, and to really understand how you can kind of tap into high vibration energy, or how you wind up getting blitzed with low vibration energy. Because what you'll learn in energy work is that low vibration energy, negative energy, that's the default. That's going to come in your life automatically no matter what you do. That's going to be there either way. But to pull down high vibration energy, you have to be deliberate and specific about it. You have to want to bring that in. And so what we'll do is we'll identify both energies, look at the characteristics, look at how they impact you, look at how to bring it into yourself, and then we'll go very, very deep on many more benefits, applications, uses, so that you can use it to be happier and to get incredible results. Now, like I mentioned, high vibration and low vibration, it's not an exact science. The people that are in the spiritual crowd, the crystal chargers, they're going to tell you that it's an exact science. They're even going to be annoyed that I would ever question it, because in effect, they're dogmatic. I'm not dogmatic about this. I respect that they are, though. I love to learn from extreme people, to be honest with you. So I love learning from the most crystal charging, woo-woo, zened out person I can find. I love extreme people that just have like crazy views about stuff. You can learn the most from them. I'm one of those people in many areas that I teach too. So I love people like that, but it doesn't mean I take it as dogma, like I said. So from that general standpoint, what have I learned from people coming from that standpoint is that they believe that high vibration energy, in effect, is like a present, expanding, giving energy, and that low vibration energy is sort of trapped in your head and needy and negative and dense. So some basic characteristics of high vibration energy is abundant, expanding, as we go under these crazy bridges, expanding, playful, light, free, giving, sharing, creative. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's in release. It doesn't need to control everything. I want you to, the way that I imagine it for myself, and this, we're getting into pretty inexact science here, but here's how I like to imagine it that kind of helps me. This is kind of funny. The way I imagine it, it's like one of those screensavers that you've seen where there's like these blobs of kind of colors, and the color blobs are kind of moving up and expanding and growing. And I imagine that like the creation of the universe. Imagine something like the Big Bang. It's like there's nothing, that it just starts expanding. It's creating planets, places like this, everything here. I mean, just look at all the creation around you. It's that energy of creation, the energy of life, the energy of new things being formed, of newness, of change, of difference, of expansion. It's the energy of life itself. And high vibration energy loves the process. It loves the process. It loves being in the moment. There's a great spiritual book called the Bhagavad Gita, and one of the major themes in it is that you're not entitled to the fruits of the action, you're only entitled to the action itself. And what that means is that when you're in high vibration energy, the reward is actually the process itself. It's actually, wow. The reward is the process itself. The reward is just doing it. In high vibration, just moving your hands. See, it sounds like I'm high right now. I've never even smoked weed or been high in my life, but it's almost like just moving your hands, looking at the details in your hands, looking around you. And you don't have to be on a boat in New York to do that. You can do that in your room. Just look at what's amazing in your room. You could be on a subway right now. Listen to the sounds. Look around. Take it in. And it's just the movement and the process itself. High vibration energy, it moves up. with that. And also in giving. See, try an experiment where maybe you do something nice for someone who can do nothing in return. They really can't do anything in return. Try that as an experiment. And what you'll notice is, here's the key, don't post about it. Don't make social media, virtue signaling about it. Don't do it wanting anything in return, but just do it to give. And what happens is, in many ways, as you're giving, you're aligning yourself with that high vibration energy of creation, where it comes from abundance. There's a flow to it. It's like you're pulling down high vibration energy and giving. That's why when I do seminars, to be honest with you, I get high off of it. Or when I go out to socialize and I'm meeting new people, if I come from a frame where I want something and I need something from the people I'm meeting, maybe I want them to like me, be attracted to me, network with me, to be my friend. If I do it that way, I get stressed from going out. It's actually incredibly stressful, to be honest with you. But if I do it from a standpoint of just sharing and giving, even though I definitely want to, get that date or meet somebody or have some cool new connection, even though I want that, which is, you're human, of course you want it, who doesn't, right? But if the underlying frame is one where you're asking, what can I give to this situation, you get kind of a high off of it. Now, contrast that with, say, being that hard grinding entrepreneur where you're just thinking, what am I going to get? How am I being perceived? What do I look like? How can I control this situation, right? It's a different vibe. Does that mean that I'm suggesting not to be results-oriented? No, I'm not. But here's what's funny with high vibration energy. When you're in high vibration, you become unified with whatever it is that you're doing. You're unified with it. You become one with the field of what you're doing. And so you'll tend to have what's called peak performance. So if you're a peak performance junkie like I am, you want to be the best. You want to be the best, maybe even of all time, a living legend. Go down as a living legend in what you do. Maybe the GOAT, the greatest to ever do it. If you want to do that, being in the moment with it, each action being merged into what you're doing, and feeling energy pulsing through you. You think that might help with peak performance? I don't know. I think it does. But you can make your own choice. So, again, I'm saying this because I don't need to convert the crystal chargers. Crystal chargers, I'm teasing my friend Shane. Do you charge your crystals?
A little.
He charges the crystals, right? Shane, but only in the full moon, right? Shane runs a chaga mushroom company, Black Magic. It's amazing. He's got, frankly, the best product I've seen. That and dragon herbs are probably the best I've seen, to be honest. And he's into that. But Shane, you already know about energy work. You get that. I don't need to get you into that, right? I don't need to convince you into herbs or chaga mushroom either. Yeah. But you watching right now, I want to show you something. If maybe you're not amenable to these ideas, I want to show you a different perspective. So again, with peak performance, tapping into high vibration energy. Now, what is low vibration energy? Low vibration energy tends to be more of a taker energy. What's wrong with taking? Well, actually, to receive is beautiful. Shane, he charges crystal. He has the mushroom company, but he wants to get paid for that. He wants to receive. That's not low vibration. But see, the difference is Shane. If I were to ask you, put the camera on Shane, Ibrahim. Shane, if I were to ask you, when you're creating a great product, I bet you do that. You want to sit here for a sec? I bet you do that. I know you. I bet you do that. And let's be cheesy. Let's just be honest.
Sure.
I bet you create that product. Be honest. Don't try to be Mr. Tough Guy.
Sure.
Do you create that product with pure love?
I would say I do. Honestly, I create it with a lot of love, but there, of course, is that aspect of it has to be an equal exchange. There has to be an equal exchange.
But you know what's funny? You're even saying that now to look, because I know you, because you're a lot like me. You're saying that now to show like, no, I'm not a crystal charger, but I know you. You probably still gravitate towards just like, if you could, you just give it to everybody and you just make it with love and you just give it to everybody. Am I right?
Oh, I get called out all the time from mentors giving away free bottles, giving away free stuff, because I just want people
to have it. I'm like that too.
I want them to experience
Yeah, I'm like that too. So for us, we have to learn how to be better receivers in many ways,
exactly.
Right? But the point is, when you're receiving, you're also, I bet, doing so with an image of how much better could I make my product? Yeah. What more could I offer to it, right? If I have money, I can afford to rent a boat to do my video on a boat. If you have money, you can afford to add more to it. So you want to receive and have a good life, but I bet you also want to be able to offer more with what you receive. Am I right?
100%. Like, my highest excitement is to continue enhancing this. Like, I put all the money back in as much as I can, to the point where it's almost stupid.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Why am I not hiring more people?
And not almost stupid in my case, yes.
See, the obsession becomes where you just want to actually make it so good, that it doesn't even make sense for you to be spending the time doing anymore. It's like, hire out some other people, make your life easier. It's like, why am I going and hunting the mushroom too?
Because we take joy. Because we take joy.
Exactly.
Because you get that high vibration kick, but we have to learn how to balance. So everybody's a little bit different. But we'll get you in here a little bit more because we got a lot to cover here. So the idea being that, oh wow, there's Empire State. Dude, this is so cool. Okay, so point being is that in high vibration, we can still receive, but it's coming from that expansion. It's because it's just adding fuel and flow for that love and that creative process. In low vibration, it's a taker energy. It's for pride. It is for maybe even a win-lose. It's to beat somebody else. It's to feel like you're better than somebody else. And it's coming from a frame of, and I want to be careful with how I articulate this. It's coming from an underlying frame where in effect you're what's called disconnected from source, okay? See, when you're giving, you're connected to that source energy. You're connected to high vibration. When you're disconnected from that, when you don't even know what your quote high vibration energy is, the only good feeling that you know is taking. That's all that you know. And so you get that, what you basically get is sort of this ego kick. It's like a dopamine spike, an ego kick, this sort of frenetic energy of more, and you get that, and you start feeding off of it, and because you're disconnected from source, that's what you know as what can make you happy, and in effect, it's a more frenetic energy. So one is an energy of peace, sharing, expansion, joy. It's very playful, relaxed, doesn't take itself seriously. It's in release. It's just moving up. It's like the best. It's the best. The other is kind of like, yeah, take it, get it. Push them down, move yourself up, be prideful. Be the best to show everybody else, not to be the best, to show yourself that you left no stone unturned to offer the most value to the world and to live up to your own standards. But rather, you want to be the best so that other people can see it, and you get kind of an ego kick from that. It pumps your ego. And I don't really have a problem with that because frankly, look, if you're somebody who's more in your ego and you're somebody who's more of a hard grinder, I already know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I can't stand those people that are apathetic. I can't stand looking at people that don't produce results. I can't stand looking at people who just don't care. They literally just don't care. These people are lazy. They have no pride. Get some pride. Compete. Try to win. You should want to win. Why are you accepting this? So the way I think about it is the bottom level is apathetic people. Then here is like low vibration, being a taker, ego fueled. And then from here is high vibration. But here's what's funny. And the people that are competitive, here's what they don't see. This kind of looks like this. Okay, apathy and what you'd call enlightenment as sort of a over-the-top phrasing of it. Apathy and enlightenment, they look kind of weirdly similar to each other. But I want you to think of it like at the lowest level is someone in rags on the street. The highest level is someone in white rags, where they're not dressing in a way to impress anybody. Clearly not me as I run around all bright colored and whatnot, but somebody who's maybe at that highest space, they're just in a clean, beautiful outfit that's just more about functionality. And it's like dirty rags, white rags. You see the difference here? Maybe not. That analogy, I think I heard that from Frederick Dodson. He has a book called Levels of Energy. Also a great read, as well as Power versus Force. So you see the general idea here, right? Now, going beyond peak performance, I want to talk to you about the actual results that high vibration energy and low vibration energy are generally thought of as being more likely to produce. And before I say this, I want to tell you something. Please don't use me as an example. I have made so many mistakes in my life, some coming from low vibration and frankly some just coming from probably being overly optimistic, that my life could turn out to be a complete train wreck. Don't use me as the example. As you're aware, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. You already know that, okay? I've done a lot of things well too, so I hope that you can be inspired by the things I've done well. I try my best to share them with you. But generally speaking, and again, don't use me as an example, what you'll often see is that high vibration energy is more likely to build sustainable results that have a lasting impact, whereas low vibration energy tends to be this sort of deal with the devil kind of vibe. So imagine right now that somebody uses bad illicit drugs. They get high from it. They get something on the front end. Maybe they drink too much alcohol. They get something on the front end. Maybe they eat too much junk food. They get something on the front end. Maybe they hook up with somebody without doing it safe and protected, and it feels better on the front end. But generally speaking, on the back end, there's this payoff. And I'm not really sure about this, but the vibe that I get is the ratio is something like 10, like 1 benefit to 10 pain. I've seen this in my own life. You get this kind of very short-lived take from it, and then the payback is like 10x as horrible as whatever you got on the front end. That's this whole idea of the deal with the devil. You've probably seen movies about that, right? This deal with the devil. Or maybe you've seen Star Wars movies. They talk about the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force. Star Wars is a funny example too, because the Emperor, and again, it's just a movie, but it's just a way to think about it. So just because it's in Star Wars, let's not think that's reality. But the Emperor's tapping into low vibration energy, right? The Sith Lords, they're tapping into low vibration energy, and it distorts their face. It creates this dementedness. It creates this kind of vile evil. Funny how it works, right? So they take something, they get more power, but then they have to pay on the back end. Now, the basic reason why in energy work, what we would say is that one is the energy of life and creation, and the other is the energy of death and destruction. So as some very morbid examples, I don't mean to shock you with any of these, but we see some people that will commit these horrifying acts. Maybe they'll go and do something vile and disgusting to harm 100 people, to take away the existences of 100 people. They just go everywhere, whatever, right? Well, what do they typically do at the end? They harm themselves. That's typically the end. I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not trying to claim that I have the exact knowledge of this, but what I would tell you is that by a way of looking at it, by the energetic way of looking at it, the energy wants to harm everything, even themselves, okay? The ultimate goal of low vibration energy is to take you down. How far down? All the way down. And it doesn't matter if you're Chester Bennington, the singer from Linkin Park, Chris Cornell. It doesn't matter if you have the best life ever. You could be Robin Williams, have everything going for you. It wants to infect your mind, put you into despair, and get you to harm yourself, which, by the way, then makes everybody else sad. As another side point, even in geopolitics, sometimes I fear that if there's a confrontation with people that are stuck in low vibration energy, say another country that's in low vibration energy, and you threaten them, in many ways they may even get off on that because they wish for their own destruction. So what you'd think of as a counter incentive may not actually work. These are very complicated issues though. And again, I'm not dogmatic about it. I'm just sharing with you how this is thought of in general energy awareness, okay? So I don't know. I have no authority here. Now, again, if we get a short-term kick, like say a high, whatever, but then we pay the price on the back end, is it worth it? No. And the challenge is, it sort of dupes you and pulls you in. Maybe you met a certain partner who's very attractive, and you start getting pulled in. And at first you're getting a high from it. But later what winds up happening, this is wild, later what winds up happening is it winds up hurting you. Have you ever had a relationship that you got so much on the front end and it wound up hurting you 20 times worse on the back end? You ever felt that? I bet you have. Again, you got the payoff on the front end, it hurts you later. So it pulls you in. I want you to think right now how each of those things that you did, I've made this mistake in many times, I still pay the consequences to this day. You get pulled in and sort of inched into it, okay? You get inched into it. Low vibration energy, it's not gonna warn you that it's coming. It's gonna inch you in. And the challenge is, and here's the main key, is that the energy that's in your body, you won't know that it's there because you're blind to it, you don't know how to see it, and it's also very addictive. So what you wanna understand is that low vibration energy is gonna typically inch you in. It's not gonna say, hey, let's go down. It's gonna inch you in. It's gonna kind of seduce you. And so here's how you can tell, as an example, if someone or something is low vibration. Here's some ways to tell. When you talk to somebody, realize that their emotions are addictions, okay? Emotions are highly addictive. The body always wants to go back into homeostasis. If somebody is hooked on low vibration energy, here's what's gonna happen. Right off the bat, you're gonna see that their conversations tend to go back to topics that give them cortisol spikes and adrenaline spikes. So that's right off the bat, you're gonna see that, okay? Cortisol spikes, adrenaline spikes. So they're gonna do things like talk about victim thinking. They're gonna complain about things. They're gonna usually do what's called triangulation, where they get off talking negative on other people overly. Look, we all do that sometimes, but they're gonna do it as a pattern. That's the main thing. They're going to be focused typically on the negative of things, how things are impossible, how it could happen good for other people, but not for them, a hopelessness, a despair, or maybe they're getting off on positioning themselves above other people and creating separation. You're gonna see this, okay? Now, whenever I've made friends with people that are in this mode, typically, in the end of it, they'll redirect that behavior on me. And typically, whatever it is that we built together, they're gonna explode it, they're gonna wreck it, they're gonna think that I exploded it, by the way, complain about it for years later, and it's just not gonna go well. So I've learned when I see those signs on the front end, I've gotta realize the way that they're treating other people, at some point that's gonna come at me. So I don't wanna engage with that. I've learned this the hard way in many cases, both public and private. Now, likewise, you can also look at the kind of feelings and what it gives you on the front end. So whenever you're receiving, what happens is, this was actually a great lesson that Glenn Ackerman relayed to me. When you're receiving, you wanna think of it like an ozone layer, okay? And it's like, most people we wanna take. We just wanna take. But what we wanna do is we wanna pause, okay? Pause right now and go into a feeling of presence. Get present for a second. Go into that feeling of presence. And then ask yourself, as you're receiving whatever's coming at you, instead of just jumping on it and clasping it, ask yourself, wait a minute, is this that light, playful, moving up, sharing, present feeling? Or is it kind of frenetic and taker and instant gratification? You've got to ask yourself that. So what it's like is like the sun is coming to hit you, and then it hits an ozone layer where that's a pause point, and then you decide, am I gonna let that in? Because remember, low vibration energy is always in this frenetic state. It wants to take, like do the drugs, unprotected intimacy, whatever it is, right? It wants to take. Instead, what you do is you pause, you say, wait a minute, is this just feeding my ego? Is this just being frenetic? Do I need this? You gotta slow down. Look at the way you even pull out your phone, just start staring at it, likes, comments on videos you made, news, negative news, looking at negative news, complaining. I need to look, I'm feeling a twitching feeling. Versus if you're just feeling good and maybe there's some information you need and you're like, and you can sort of like, you can take the pause right there. It's not that frenetic need, okay? It's not a taker energy. It's a giving energy. It's in flow. Is it taking you out of your flow and contracting you? Or are you staying expansive? So you can generally notice this. And what's interesting is that once you know what high vibration and low vibration energy is, once you can see this, you're now in a position to make predictions that most people, honestly, they can't make. It is really wild because, for example, you can predict which friends that you're making or business relationships or partnerships that you're making. You can predict which ones are probably going to become a big problem for you. And you can also pick which ones, oh, cool. You can also pick which ones, wow. You can also pick which ones are going to go well and are going to be sustainable. Generally speaking, you want to get friends around yourself that you know it's going to maintain that positivity in the longer term. So once you know this, you can actually choose who to be around and you can set up something more sustainable. And you want to get people around you who are also in high vibration. You want to be surrounding yourself with things that are more high vibration. I'm not perfect with this. I make mistakes, right? You watch me long enough, you'd be like, high vibration energy, huh, buddy? And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I make lots of mistakes. I'm learning, we're all learning here, right? But generally speaking, you want to do that. It becomes more sustainable. You get a more sustained outcome by doing it this way. And what you'll learn, in effect, and this is another energetic law, and I'm going to tweak this energetic law to get out of crystal charger land to my view of it. What they say in energetic laws is that high vibration energy can only attract high vibration energy, and low vibration energy can only attract low vibration energy. I have a different opinion. I think that in a lot of the spiritual ideas, if they would just change the word only to frequently, little tweak, courtesy of me, courtesy of moi, little tweak. Oftentimes, high vibration energy oftentimes attracts more high vibration energy. Low vibration energy oftentimes attracts more low vibration energy. Here's why I don't like the always. People that have read the book The Secret or watched the movie The Secret, they'll see someone get in a car accident and they'll start spouting off that they probably manifested the car accident. Give me a break. Talk about pompous and arrogant and ignorant. And that doesn't mean, like, look, they may be right. I can't prove it. Maybe that person really did manifest it. Honestly, maybe they did. I just think that's extremely, extremely pompous. Very sanctimonious, very finger wagging. How did you attract this? Give me a break. But generally speaking, I do believe that when you're in a high vibration state, you're gonna attract other people like that. Your vibe attracts your tribe is another thing they say. People that are in low vibration, they'll also attract other low vibration people, but here's the problem. Even if for a little while they kind of run like a wolf pack and they do cool things together, inevitably that negative energy winds up turning inward and they explode. I've had groups of people that are trying to hassle me and give me an annoying time, and people will say, you're gonna respond, you're gonna do something, I watch, they're gonna implode themselves. And they always eventually turn inwards. It always happens. So you don't even need to do anything. You don't need to control it, just let it go. It's usually gonna take care of itself. The bigger question is, how are you gonna stop being from one of those individuals yourself rather than feeling superior to other people? So again, your vibe attracts your tribe, and you can predict different behavior coming from other people once you understand if they're in high vibration or low vibration. Are they in a giving state or a taker state? You can also generally predict their long-term consequences of decisions, because generally speaking, what you're gonna see with people is that they're gonna make decisions if they're in low vibration. Even if they work for a while, for a period of time, eventually it's gonna explode in their faces. You're gonna see this very consistently, and believe me, I still have decisions that I made back in the day that I think could to this day blow up in my face. So, you know, that's just life, frankly, okay? It blows, and it's like low vibration seed, low vibration fruit. High vibration seed, high vibration fruit. So I've planted low vibration seeds at times, and when I've done so, that will usually yield a low vibration fruit. I've also planted many high vibration seeds. That's also probably why I walk down the street, people give me props, and a lot of things in my life are amazing, right? I'm sitting here on this boat. You know, my life's amazing. Why is that? Because I've planted some high vibration seeds. So you want to be basically asking yourself this continually, and you can predict how other people will act. You can predict results. You can also maybe put something into your body or read something or get an influence. And again, it's that same thing. Is it a high vibration or low vibration influence or substance or food that you're putting in your body? And if you keep doing this, what's kind of cool is your palate actually changes. As an example, here's another big key with this that's huge, okay? This is massive. When you're in a low vibration state, you're not very present to the moment. If you're not very present to the moment, then what you're gonna find is that you're very, very much trapped in your head. When you're trapped in your head, you need things that are very extreme to feel anything, otherwise you'll often feel numb. So people that are trapped in their head, they're gonna need that really sugary or processed food because they're trapped in their head, and something like a carrot can't taste good. Shane, you do chaga mushroom. When I drink your chaga mushroom drink, it tastes like I've died and gone to heaven. Yeah. But if somebody's trapped in their head, they drink that, it's too subtle of a flavor, and their brain can't process it. They need a sugar bomb of some type. They can't even let it land. I can actually tell if someone's in high vibration or low vibration if they enjoy something like your drinks, if they enjoy things like, take sauna or cold plunge. And again, often, frequently, it's not always. If you didn't like Shane's drink, it doesn't always mean you're in low vibration, okay? Replace it with frequently. But you get the general idea here, which is that if you're present to the moment, you have a more subtle palate for more subtle flavors, and you can let things in that have that quality to it. The beauty of, say, a beautiful ginseng or reishi or chaga, it's harder, you have to be very present to feel the beauty of that as you drink it, right? To just, even meditation's the classic example. If you're hyper present, you can just look at your hands or look at your environment, and you can see the beauty of that if you're present. But here's the key. Do you struggle with meditation? I bet you probably do, right? We all do, you know. Do you struggle with meditation? Well, if you sit there and you're in a low vibration state, you're bored. You need more stuff. You need more action right now to feel anything. Versus when you're in a low vibration state, versus when you're in a high vibration state, frankly, you could just enjoy the beauty of sitting there. And so meditating, you wind up getting high off of it. Cool. We made it. We'll start heading back. You wind up getting a high off of it. And you can literally get high just sitting there, because in meditation, you can let in that more subtle aspect of what it is that you're doing. Is this the Queensboro Bridge? What is this?
Queensboro.
Yeah, we shot a video here once. Cool. We're getting the tour of all the different bridges we went to. So you see the general idea here, right? Which is that if you're in low vibration, what's gonna happen? It's not a good space to be in, because now you need more low vibration things to be able to function. You need it. You hate life. If life is too boring, if you're not getting all of those different low vibration substances. It's just not fun. Life isn't fun enough for you. So, versus if you're in a higher vibration state, well, what's happening now? In a higher vibration state, you can actually let in more high vibration things, because rather than being attracted to that partner that's gonna mess you up, you're attracted to a healthier partner. Rather than eating food that's gonna mess you up, you're attracted to more healthy food. Rather than getting involved in business things that are gonna mess you up and create stress later, you're attracted to the right things, right? You take that pause, like we said, the ozone layer, you're attracted more to the right things. And when you do that, now you're going into an upward spiral. You're getting into a more sustained progress. Versus in a negative spiral, you're just going down and down. Because the more that you go in low vibration, the more extreme things that you need to feel anything. What is the extremity of this? Some people will call it adult film, and instead of just watching like a nice cute little adult film, they've got to watch some weird thing involving animals or people hurting each other, or like even more horrible stuff. I wouldn't even say, I even had those words come out of my mouth. Horrifying things they have to watch to feel anything. Or they have to harm themselves during, intimacy. Some people even get to the point they become cutters. People with borderline personality disorder and other people with psychological problems become cutters, where they have to cut themselves to even feel anything. Now, by the way, low vibration energy gives you a high when you do things to hurt yourself. So that's what cutting is, right? In that framework of energy work. You look up cutters. This is a thing. Look up things like S&M. This is like a thing, okay? And people literally get off from hurting themselves. They get a fix from it. So this also will give you a different understanding of drugs and alcohol. This is kind of funny. In energy work, here's what they believe. Again, not dogma for me. I don't know if this is true. I would promise you there's many scientific explanations for this that would kind of make the energy explanation look a little bit silly, okay? So I want to tell you that right now. But it's just kind of like a framework you could look at it through. So if you look at, say, drugs or alcohol scientifically, they'll probably show regions of the brain that get shut off and increases in dopamine, serotonin, all that kind of stuff. And that's what creates the high or the drunkenness, right? But funny enough, if you look at it through the energy work framework, they would say that because you're ingesting something that harms yourself, here's what they would say. This is a little bit weird, I'm gonna tell you, but I think you might like it. What they would say is that basically, we live in an energetic realm that's a little bit more low vibration, right? We can feel it, we can look around us and see it, but we have some high vibration here too. And basically, you as an entity, you have like a force field. It's like an energetic, call it an aura field, okay? Shane will like that one. So we'll call it an aura field. You basically have an aura field. And in that aura field, there's different vulnerabilities, right? The vulnerabilities can be lack of control, lack of approval, lack of safety, not knowing what's gonna happen, self-attack, being attached. These are like little holes in that kind of protection aura field, okay? Now, by the way, I don't know if that's real or not if we have an aura field, but when I started focusing on that, I have not been sick, might have heard me say this, since 2012. So I'm always doing things to do what in my mind I feel like I'm building that protection shield, but I can't prove it. That's just sort of how I think about it, okay? I'm always doing things to get more present, to release negative energy, to pull down high vibration energy, and build this kind of protection shield, this vessel, to be able to handle to handle stress and press, which in my case is about the same, one and the same. And basically, always doing this for myself. So I'm trying to plug those leaks, and we'll get into that later, how in this sort of framework of thinking about it, it'll sort of plug those leaks. So the idea with drug and alcohol use is that it's almost like you're in this castle, right? Say you're British, and you've got the Vikings at the gate of the castle. And the Vikings are waiting to come invade you at some point, but you've got the castle walls up. And then out of nowhere, the Vikings, to kind of fool you, they pull back in the forest. And then you start opening all the gates up. You start opening all these different gates. So the Vikings have tricked you. They said, hey, we're gonna pull back, and you open up all the gates. And what you notice is, wait a minute, you make a false correlation. When I open the gates, the Vikings go away. Look, the Vikings went away when we opened all the gates up. Maybe we should even just take bombs and catapults and blow open the gates. Blow big holes in the gates. That would be awesome. So you go and you blow big holes in your gates. Now, funny enough, you're thinking, anytime I blow holes in the gates, the Vikings go away, blow more holes. And then what the Vikings do is they wait, and then once all the holes are blown open, they rush you. They rush you and they slaughter you. So that's what, in energy work, that's how they think of drugs and alcohol. Basically what happens is that you ingest, in effect, poisons. And you can look at all the different ways these work. I actually love this topic. Go look up how certain illicit substances work. It's a very fascinating subject. And it's really cool. But the idea of it is that it's actually hurting your health. It's almost like it's taking your protection shield and it's poking holes in it. And so the low vibration energy, when it sees you hurting yourself, it goes away, and so you feel high. You actually feel high because you're going in this kind of forced chemical-induced or poison-induced high vibration state, because when you hurt yourself, those negative energies, they go away. But then what happens is the holes get blown open, and then they rush you. And that's why drug addicts, they'll do these horrible drugs, they get super blissful from it, and then more negative energy comes in, more comes in, more comes in. Now, many people that are hardcore drug addicts, they're actually very traumatized from childhood. You can read the book by Gabor Mate, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. Urgent read. Look him up on YouTube. There's a London Reel with him that's great. Love London Reel as well. What's up, guys? And likewise, Brandon, have you been on London Reel yet? No. Okay, Elliot's been on it. So London Reel covers him. He has great content online. And basically he covers addiction, how many drug addicts, they get traumatized. So then they're in a low vibration state, which makes them gravitate to hard drugs. Then they get a little deal with the devil, they get high, they feel blissful for a minute, and then boom, they get rushed. And they'll do it until it kills them. And you can look at people that are addicted to meth, and it literally sucks the life out of them. That's that kind of dementation, that kind of dementedness. It's almost like being possessed by the devil that we're talking about here. That's the kind of vibe of it, right? So drugs is the most extreme example. I would say drugs and alcohol, I mean, if you look at what can happen when someone drinks alcohol, it literally can resemble demonic possession. People start fighting each other. They go home with people they shouldn't go home with. They kill people on the road. They get super negative. They go into despair. It's crazy. Or people that do certain things, the day after, they're a wreck. It's like they're in hell on earth. So in life, it's like what you want to do is not make those deals with the devil. And instead of making those deals with the devil, you want to do things that are sustainable. Now, you might not get that high that somebody that did this got or had unprotected intimacy got. Okay, fair enough. But you're going to get things that are sustainable and leading towards something more beautiful. Don't go messing up your brain, frying your brain. Go to Hawaii. Come here on a boat. Come do beautiful things. I realize it's not mutually exclusive, but try to focus on, rather than ingesting something where you're like, whoa, like that. Just look at the beauty of life. It's sustainable, okay? And if you can't do that right away, that's fine, but just keep moving yourself in that general direction is the key. So, drugs would be the most extreme example. The opposite extreme example, oh, by the way, other extremes would be those who harm others or do demented, like kind of satanic, disgusting, horrifying, vile things, right? This ultimate taking, being run by that destructive energy. The opposite of that, in my view, are, and this is not necessarily where my life is going, although it may wind up being so, we'll see, is not needing anything from the earth and maybe just becoming a meditator. But for me, I don't feel that that's my purpose at this moment. Rather, the way that I try to do it is I want to engage in entrepreneurship, in life, in growth, in sharing, in teaching, because that's where I'm at now. That's my phase of life now. I feel like what people do is they do what's called spiritual bypassing, where they bypass all these missions and quests that you have in life. They bypass them and they say, I'm just gonna go right to meditating because they don't want to deal with the stress. It's just an easy way to feel superior to other people. Oh, I'm not gonna go build a business. I'm not gonna go accomplish things in the physical world. I'm not gonna date anybody or get an attractive partner, have a fun dating life because I'm too spiritual. Yeah, right. That is about 0.1% of people that spew stuff like that are speaking authentically. The other 99.9 are people that are lazy. Remember we said apathy, low vibration but accomplishing, high vibration accomplishing, maybe even higher could just be pure high vibration and like enlightened. Most of the people that would claim that they're enlightened, they're just in apathy. They're just chilling out, being lazy, rotting their brain, and then using enlightenment as an excuse. They're actually using enlightenment and high vibration in a low vibration manner. They're literally in a low vibration space and using that. So you don't want to be doing that. And by the way, beware that, because it is everywhere. It's everywhere in the spiritual community. What I've seen is that when people get too much in the physical and there's no spiritual component, no high vibration component, it eventually implodes on itself. But likewise, when people are only high vibration, they become untethered, not grounded to reality. There's nothing to test their presence against. So what you want to do is you want to test your presence, in my view. You want to get out there and have challenges, things that hurt you, things that mess you up, and things that could even disappoint you, but you're challenging yourself. And then you challenge yourself, like lifting weights in the gym, to see if you can stay present through that. That's by pushing yourself. I didn't become more present just sitting in a room. Sitting in a room and meditating helped me to get in touch with my present energy. But it was ultimately the challenges that I took on that then I would take that frame of reference for meditating and bring that into those challenges. That was what really took me to a much higher level, being more high vibration. I've seen it, many mentors that I've had, many people I look up to, people that have written books, I've gotten to meet them. And they're, in my view, they're kind of just whacked out. They're disconnected. And the same people that'll give you the holier than thou vibe of being high vibration, they'll be kicking the tire and screaming to the heavens when they get a parking ticket. Things that I wouldn't even blink at, they're crying and rolling around on the ground. To me, it's just incongruent. I just see an incongruency there. The people that I admire are the ones that have been through the fire, tested themselves, and come into their high vibration that way. So that's a general sort of idea here between high vibration, low vibration. It's that sustainable success. It's that ability to predict what people are going to do, that ability to predict what you're going to do. And again, it comes back to what I said earlier, which is this idea that in anything high pressure, you want to be able to see reality very, very clearly. And when you can see reality clearly, you're able to make better decisions under pressure and so on and so forth, okay? For example, sometimes I'm getting external pressure publicly, and everybody's saying, Owen, you need to respond. You need to respond. Or maybe people will be asking me questions that if I give answers to, the media's going to come, cut it out of context, clickbait it, and make problems. Everyone's saying, answer me, answer me. That approval seeking in me, that neediness in me wants to take quick action, listen to the crowd, or start responding to everybody to get approval. When in reality, if I start responding to stuff like that, it's going to get all cut out of context and make hell. So it's that present energy that says, no, we're in this for the long haul. We take our time. There was a great story where Hannibal from Carthage invaded Rome, and he went through the back mountain. There's a book about this called Hannibal and Me. He went through the back mountain and invaded Rome and took it over and ran it into the ground for like 10, 20 years or something. And every single general in Rome was like, we're going to go attack him, we're going to beat him, because of ego, because of pride. It was finally Fabian Maximus, whatever his name was in the book, amazing. He said, no, we're going to lay back. We're going to not control this at this exact moment. We're going to let them win for this particular moment. But then later, we're going to come back and we're going to beat them. He let them do that. Everybody complained to Fabian Maximus, whatever his name is. They complained and complained and complained. But he did something that's known. You can look this up on Wikipedia, look it up online. It's called the Fabian strategy. He laid back. He didn't need that immediate result. He played the long game. And eventually, he cleared them out of Rome, went back, annihilated Carthage for the most part, and that's why you've heard of Rome, and you may have never heard of Carthage. But look that up. These high vibration people, or at least people that are moving in high vibration in that particular decision they might have made, you want to be looking at that and asking yourself, what is sustained success? What is the kind of pressure that you could be under where being tapped in the right energy will allow you to make better decisions? And I'm far from perfect, and who knows how my story will turn out, because hey, it's a tough one. But generally speaking, if you just sort of take the ideas, take the message, don't worry about the messenger, just take the message, this focus of moving up your vibration can absolutely change your life. The basic understanding we have to keep coming back to is that we crave to be back in whatever emotion it is that we're addicted to. We both have energetic addictions as well as synaptic pathways in the mind. So basically what you get is, on one side, if you're addicted to high vibration energy, you'll tend to keep coming back to it. You actually want to addict yourself to it, ideally. And if you're addicted to low vibration energy, you're also likely to keep coming back to it. We see this even with addiction to carbohydrates, and it creates candida in the body, and you just crave certain types of food. Likewise, you crave the emotions that you're addicted to. Many people say they're more addictive than heroin. Now, if you want to get in some really crazy way of thinking, consider this for a minute. If emotions, by some people's way of saying it, are more addictive than heroin, it's literally an addiction in your body. If you're addicted to, say, negativity, cortisol, stress, it's an addiction in your body. If they're more addictive than heroin, even though they may not feel as good, they're more addictive. Imagine if a heroin junkie could give themselves a little shot of heroin just by changing a thought. So they wouldn't even need to inject it. They could just change a thought and they would get that emotion they're addicted to. Well, we think that because heroin gets the user high for a minute, that it's more likely to be addictive than, say, a negative emotion. But my understanding, at least the way I understand it, you can challenge this, but here's how I understand it, is that if you're addicted to being negative, you're actually more hooked on that than even a heroin junkie is for heroin. And so what's gonna happen is all day long, your thoughts are gonna keep going back to things that are getting you stressed out and negative. It's gonna happen again and again. Again, that analogy. What if a heroin user could just have a thought and it floods them with heroin? Well, imagine how you're doing that with negativity. So imagine what you're gonna do in your life. You're gonna set up friends that bring about negativity. You're gonna get a job, romantic partners, lifestyles, thought patterns, worldview, way of life, all that. It's gonna all be centered to where this negativity, this addiction to low vibration energy comes to define your entire life. You think you're in control? You're about as in control as a heroin junkie would be if they could control by a thought heroin flooding through their bodies. That is why I said in business and peak performance, if you want to be making clear decisions, so many of my friends, amazing entrepreneurs, incredible people who I have so much respect for, I've seen it where they get hooked on negativity. They will get in lawsuits, they will get in fights, bickering, they'll get involved in stupid business decisions out of ego, all sorts of nonsense. Look, I've done it myself. We've all been there, right? I'll watch people who I respect so much making these choices because of their addiction to low vibration energy. It's out of control. I've just seen it for years. So we want to understand that this is rampant. It is all over society. Almost everybody's doing it. It is crazy, okay? So understand that concept of homeostasis. And then what we want to basically do is we want to get to the point where we're able to start addicting ourselves on a more positive energy, okay? We've got to turn the tides here. So how do we do that? There's a number of different ways, okay? The one that is commonly taught is straightforward energy work, and I'll get into that later. But first, I actually want to cover some practical methods. Here's a big one. Go to comedy show, right? Does that surprise you? I thought this was the energy tutorial. Am I saying that if you watch Bill Burr or Joe Rogan or Russell Brand or other world-class comedians that you could raise your vibration? Yes. And any teacher who tells you otherwise is trying to line their pocketbooks saying that they hold the only key to changing your vibration. Laughter, playfulness, not taking things too seriously, just having fun, hanging out with your friends, being out with the boys, out with the girls, out with the people. That raises your vibration. Anything that helps to get you present and enjoying the moment is raising your vibration, okay? So that is massive, that alone. Likewise, any kind of flow state activity, skiing, hiking, anything that puts you in a flow, surfing, all that is really good for raising vibration. Another one is just to get in the habit of cracking jokes with your friends or yourself. Just get used to going about your life, and instead of just, okay, here's the key here. Instead of going by life or throughout life, always trying to get to the next thing, stop to smell the freaking roses. If you're out and you have some kind of goal with your friends, make a point specifically of laughing as you're doing it, of cracking jokes as you're doing it. I've watched so many teachers of spiritual growth taking themselves way too seriously. You want to know who are the real spiritual teachers? Goofballs. Total goofballs. A real spiritual teacher is like Master Yoda. He's sitting there just laughing, giggling, even when the chips are down. He's not taking it so serious all the time. Okay, that's the real spiritual master. So there's a childlike quality or behavior to real spirituality that anybody who takes it too serious, in my mind, they're playing a character. That's called spiritual ego. So anything like that you can do to raise your vibration is great. Now, another one is also a practice of continually looking at what it is that you're focused on. And what I mean by that, as far as what it is that you're focused on, is that you're gonna actually consider to yourself, okay, as I go about my day, I'm gonna actually focus on the positive or focus on the negative, and really examine that. What is it that you're focusing on? Now, Brandon, you had a practice on that, right?
Yeah.
And we could share that quickly, because see, you're a guy, you're a very results-oriented guy. You don't like some woo-woo thing where it's not measurable.
Yeah.
And measuring is like a huge part of your fitness journey as well.
For sure.
So when you started to hear about this, you started measuring this.
Yeah, so like, especially after my father committed suicide, I was like real depressed. And depression obviously runs in my family. That's why, you know, I have diagnosed bipolar 2. Right, and
despite that being one of the most successful people I know, but yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I would do is I don't know where I got this from, all right, but I would like track my mood every like hour or two, and like I would rate it from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Right? So like 10 would be like, you know, how Drake felt after the Raptors won, and
The Raptors.
and one is like, you know, you're sitting at your desk with a bottle of Jack and a revolver,
yeah.
trying to decide if you're gonna go to work or
Okay.
not, right? Like that's one. So I would just rate myself there, and then I would note, and I would have it like as a chart.
Yeah.
This is before the iPhone came out.
Okay.
Right. So like I was just on a little moleskin notebook.
Yeah.
And I would like do a graph, and what I would notice, I would just track my state.
Yeah.
Every few hours, and then I would try to get what I saw I had a peak. I would note what the peak was, and when there was a valley, I try to know what the valley was and why I affected what I was doing or what I was focusing on, and over time, then I would get the average, and I would try to do more of the things that got me the peaks, and like less of the valley. So that would be like cutting off certain people, certain friends, certain things, you know, certain women, and
No.
yeah, but what I noticed when I started to do that and I got the data, I can actually make decisions based off the data, right? Then I would notice that the average would go up. The average go up, and then what you start to do, once the average starts to go, you start to like train your nervous system to do those things, you know? And what I noticed was there was like 3 main factors as far as like raising my vibration. One was like my environment, like where I'm at, people I'm around, if my room was clean, you know, stuff like that. You know, if I'm around some crazy person. The second one would be like my physiology, like how I hold myself. You know, what I'm doing. Am I smiling? Am I having fun? Am I excited? And then the third would be probably most important, what you just talked about, is like, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the negative? Or are you focusing on a solution? And just train myself. And then I just notice every time it's low, all right, then I'm gonna try to make the next one high, and I'll be able to actually deliberately try to make the next one higher. You feel what I'm saying? And then when you do that for some period of time, your average starts to raise. And now I got like now there's the iPhones out, and I got like an app. It's just, they got apps where you can just track your mood, and I do it from 1 to 10.
What app is this?
This is called iMood Journal. It's free.
Wow.
Yeah, it's free, and it's like 1 to 10. It's the same thing that I thought I invented with a piece of paper, right? But then it gives you like a summary of like the week, right? You know, I had a rough week, man, so my average is 7, but 7 out of 10 is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Right, like the shit that I went through the stuff that I went through these last few weeks would put most people at like 4 or 5.
Okay, what's good around here, man?
I worked on this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then I'm like, all right, cool. Next week I make a game out of it, right? So next week I'm gonna try to hit 8.
Yeah.
You know, like consistently 8 out of 10. You know, I don't know if you can beat 10 out of 10 all the time. Maybe you can. I can't.
No.
But like 7 is like a real good number.
Good baseline.
Yeah, it's like that's a good baseline state. Imagine if you're always feeling really good.
Yeah, or like Eckhart Tolle said, acceptance, excitement, enthusiasm. If you can baseline at acceptance.
Yeah, or even like, for me, I feel like 7 is more like it's kind of like in between, right? Like, but 8 is like enthusiasm, like I'm excited. 10 is like, you know, bliss.
Drake.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Drake at the when the Raptors won. I don't know how many times you can get those peaks. But you got to think about it. How many times do people get those peaks, man? Like, sometimes people never get it. If you got to wait till the Raptors win to get the peaks, you know what I'm saying? You only had 1 peak. So I try to like look for reasons to do that. You know, like when you came to town, like, and you know, like I just dropped everything and like, yo, I know I'm gonna get a peak from hanging out with you, right? I know.
I learned a lot from you as well, actually.
Yeah, so we can I try to just get as many of those as possible.
Epic.
I know it's gonna raise my baseline.
Epic. No, that's amazing. So
iMood Journal. That's the name of it. You know, it's I think it's free. You know what I'm saying? And it's free app on iPhone and Android. They ain't sponsored me, but nothing like that. Or
Okay.
and that's better than when I used to do it on.
I love how they always think that we have these huge sponsors, right? I'll show my Adidas Ultra Boost. They think Adidas is sponsoring me. I'm like, right.
I mean, they can holler at me, you know, like
exactly.
they would
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm sure that it'd be beneficial for their organization.
You know, James Harden, Brandon Carter, RC Tom. Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Cool.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, and this is cool, by the way. I've never even.
Yo.
This is some crazy. Okay. Okay. So, you get the idea there, right? So there's a practical way that you could be going about this, and then from there, what you can also do is you can actually go into a deeper form of energy work. And so, from a practical standpoint, it's just continually looking at your mood. Or, by the way, here's another one as far as tracking. I will write down or make videos of what I think of, say, different people that could be stressful, different potentially stressful situations, just different things in my life. And I look at that from a good mood. And then what I notice is how my opinions change when I get in a bad mood. Like in a good mood, someone that, say, did me wrong, so to speak, I'm like, you know what? We're all on our journey. They're another spiritual soul on their journey, and they just made a mistake, and I made a mistake, and it's all okay. When I'm in a bad mood, it's like, ah, right? It's like a lot, not as friendly, let's just say, as that, right? But who do I want to be? Do I want to be that person who has those kind of thoughts about, because ultimately, this is what you learn. When you're mad at other people, okay, cool, you're mad at them. It's just your cortisol. It's just your adrenaline and negative emotions and rewiring your brain to play victim. The best revenge is just to be like, you know what? We're all on our own journey. Good luck. You know, I mean, to be fair, if you have to handle something, if it's like a, litigious situation or whatever it is, you got to handle life. There is a reality. You can't just float through life entirely. But barring that, unless there's some really, really specific outcome, which, by the way, when you're negative, you'll rationalize there is, generally speaking, if you just say, if you just kind of focus on those thoughts that you'd have when you're in a better mood, that's a better way to go about it. I will say this, though. I'm not an extremist with this stuff, and I do believe that sometimes a negative mood can have a function, because if we're always in a good mood, maybe you're dating the wrong person, and you never will just acknowledge that you do have to maybe cut it or something like that. So I believe that a negative mood can serve the function to where it'll kind of alert your mind. It draws your RAS onto a problem and will kind of poke at you to resolve the problem. The challenge is that something that's helping you, or is that where you're defaulting to, and is that where you live? So you've got to ask yourself, or just say to yourself, look, every emotion has some degree of validity. Depression can even help you get back in touch with yourself and re-examine your life. Some people do psychedelics, for example. I don't. Some people do psychedelics. They have a very negative experience because it's trying to kind of expose them and get them to see their life with more clarity, right? So depression or anger can have a space. You don't need to be. I don't like this extremism personally. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps we should always be in the clouds. I don't know, but I don't feel that way. I'm not extremist with it. But again, it's where am I living? Where do I live? And how many of my friends will tell you, no, I get mad with a purpose? I'm like, yeah, right, you're always mad. What are you talking about? You're always complaining. What are you saying? So again, it's where do you live, okay? So from that standpoint, we can basically see there's practical ways to solve this. But in addition to that, there's also processes such as trauma release, or such as raising your vibration through different practices that we can also go into. They're a little bit more out there, but also incredibly, incredibly powerful and effective. Now to wrap up, I want to go into these exact processes, and I want to give you the understanding and show you what to do. So the way to think about it is that you have an energetic body that can house high vibration or low vibration energy. Just a way of thinking about it. And if you're loaded to the gills with low vibration energy, trauma energy, you don't really have a lot of space in the cup to fill that with that high vibration energy. Just a way to think about it again. So what you want to do is you always want to be releasing low vibration energy, both as a kind of default mode, But then also you want to do processes where you release it, and then you also want to be bringing down high vibration. Well, how do you do it? Part of it is, look, as I go through my life, what I want to be doing is always just letting things go as things are coming at me. I basically make it my goal that I look at other people that flip out at everything and get negative about it, about just about everything or about a lot, and I say to myself, I take the challenge not to let that trigger me or get under my skin. I actually made another video on the Brooklyn Bridge about not getting triggered and saying how as a society, rather than always kind of trying to soften things for everybody, we got to be treating people, we got to be teaching people processes to toughen up a little bit. Part of that toughening up process is the ability to just let things go. Okay? You don't have to run away from any negative elements hitting your psyche. Just let it go. Learn how. So we'll teach you here. So part of it is, if things are hitting you, go into release, get present, allow it to move through you. But as a process, what can we also do? Well, look, like we talked about earlier when we talked about the drugs and alcohol segment, there's kind of this energetic force field, and again, the way of looking at it. And when we consume drugs or alcohol, which I don't, but when you probably do, or most people, when your friends do, it blows little holes in it, okay? Blows little holes in it. Well, where are the holes inherently? Here's what I would say. Lack of approval, lack of control, lack of safety, self-attack, being stuck in your head, or any general attachment, or just general addiction to low vibration energy. So again, it's like lack of approval, lack of control, lack of safety, not knowing what's going to happen, self-attack, attachments. What is that? What is this doing? What's the commonality here? Here's what it's doing. Let me teach you. It's putting you in your head. Right now you could be enjoying the day, but as soon as you think about that lack of control, it drives you crazy. How you can't control a particular situation. It drives you mad, right? Got it. Maybe you don't get that approval you want. Why didn't they give you the credit you deserve? Why? Again, drives you crazy. Maybe you don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And you start looping on it. It's anything that gets you looping in your head too much. So anytime you don't know what's going to happen, you start looping in your head. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's getting you trapped in your head. Maybe lack of safety. Am I going to be okay? Again, drives you crazy. So lack of approval, lack of control, lack of safety, not knowing what's going to happen. Self-attack. Why did I do this? I could have done better. What I should have done. How things could have been different. Again, you look at that, you get trapped in your head. Maybe you need things to look a certain way, you're attached. Why doesn't it look like this? Like this? It has to look like this. Makes you get attached. Or any just general low vibration energy that you're attached to, it's holes in your shield system. So anytime that I'm getting stressed, what I do is I ask myself, right now, what is it that's happening to me? Where am I getting attacked? Is it that lack of approval? And I just breathe it out. We can also do this in general breath work. My old coach Glenn, he get me to do this all the time. Glenn Ackerman, amazing. He'd say, Owen, breathe in that lack of approval. Hold it. And breathe it out. Breathe in that lack of control. Breathe it in. Hold it, let the tension there. And breathe it out. Think of anything where you're unsafe. Breathe that in. Feel the frustration of it. Breathe it in. And breathe it out. Think of an area where you don't know what's going to happen, driving you nuts. So breathe it in. And breathe it out. Think of an area where you're attacking yourself. You're mad at yourself. You could have done better. Woohoo! Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Think of a reality that you wish exists. It drives you nuts. It doesn't. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Now, go in your body. Feel any remaining low vibration energy, any tension, adrenaline, stress. Unidentified. Breathe it in. And breathe it out. And relax. Then what we do is we imagine high vibration energy. What do we imagine? It's like what we described. Flowing, moving up, free, expanding, giving, playful, doesn't take itself seriously, infinite, love, peace, joy, enlightenment, expanding out infinitely. Imagine a white ball over your head and breathing that in now. Just a fun exercise. Just try it out. Why not? Breathe it in. Let it move up and down your body and heal you and breathe it out. And get present. Now imagine if you do this every day. Imagine if you do it with 3 breaths each time. What's gonna happen? Well, what's happening is you're going into your psyche and you're auditing areas that you're stressed. And what happens, there's actually a great book called Getting Things Done by David Allen, I think it is. And what he says that when we write stuff down, we actually wind up losing our stress over it. When we write it down, we stop looping on it. A lot of time if you have something that you need to get done, maybe you need to go to the bank, until you write it down, you keep looping on it. What this process does, it's a little bit like the David Allen aspect, where what happens is you're auditing what's stressing you, what's driving you crazy, and you're letting it go through your mind. You're not hiding from it. You're not medicating it. You're not running away from it. You're not stuffing it. That's what we do, right? We stuff stress, medicate stress, run away from stress. Instead, we're just allowing that stress to be there. That's fine. It's completely fine. And what we do is we simply breathe it in and let it out. So now we're not afraid of it, we're releasing it. So look at that. Are you medicating low vibration energy? Are you running away from low vibration energy? Are you stuffing low vibration energy? Are you rationalizing low vibration energy? Are you acting up and lashing out at other people to try to get rid of your low vibration energy? Or are you releasing your low vibration energy? Eckhart Tolle, who I love, Power Now, New Earth, his books, he asks you, can I be the space for this? Someone's pumping you with low vibration energy. Can you be the space for it? Let it go and get present. And what we learn in this process, in effect, is that we can continually be letting go and then bringing in laughter, bringing in joy, and bringing in ultimately what we call surrender. What is surrender? Well, this is the main thought that I'm gonna leave you with in this video, and this is really powerful, is this idea of surrender. And we see this in organized religion, but I don't think you have to be partaking in organized religion to really benefit from this. And here's really what it is. Surrender is the idea that you understand what high vibration energy is. It's that life force, that creative life force, right? It's not that energy of death. It is the energy of creation, the energy of life. And you say, rather than me having that pride or that ego, I'm gonna align with that. I'm going to bring that into myself and let it move through me. I'm going to allow high vibration energy to be continually moving through me. You make that decision. And what winds up happening is that you actually begin to align with that creative energy. Well, now what's happening is you're getting other people around you that are in that same energy. You're taking on jobs, you're making decisions, and doing things that are aligning you with high vibration energy. You're doing this simply more and more. And in doing this more and more, your life will get better and better. Conversely, what do you see with, say, drug addicts? What do you see with people that are engaging in low vibration energy? Inevitably, it's just like Anakin Skywalker, it's just like the Emperor in Star Wars. They wind up making that bad decision. Doesn't mean that I won't make bad decisions. A lot of problems in my life came from decisions I made in the past. But doesn't mean you're not gonna make bad decisions. But the more that you can align with high vibration energy, the better quality decisions that you're gonna make. And ultimately, I'd leave you with this. You can really tell where someone's coming from, and you can see it in yourself. Because what I've noticed is that when you're fully being run by high vibration energy, when you're saturated in it, when you're steeped in high vibration, you have a very, very steady eye contact. But conversely, when you're in low vibration, you also have a steady eye contact. And when you're in between, it sort of fluctuates. Here's what I mean by that. Sitting out here, trying to get my glasses off. What I've seen is that people that have that sort of enlightened look to them, there's a softness in the eye, but they have no trouble holding great eye contact. It's like laser-like, but it's soft. It's a little bit glassy and soft, and it moves with a little bit more of a slow movement that implies there's not a frenetic energy about it. A simple way to imagine this, frankly, is just think of when you're feeling very much in high vibration. How do you look around? How do you feel? How do you relax? There's a softness in the face. You ever go out, had such a great night, you come back, you look in the mirror, and you almost feel like you're better looking, more attractive. There's a softness there. Now, conversely, people in low vibration, they often also have very piercing eye contact, but it's more like a shark. It's very shark-like. And we see this with people sometimes who even run big businesses, and they're engaging in certain drug use practices and whatnot, and they're kind of dipping into kind of communing with low vibration energy. And they have, again, those big pupils, just like the person high vibration might have the big pupils, or just very steady eye contact, even small pupils, whatever it is. But they have that, but it looks a little bit more like they're kind of possessed a bit. It's harsher, and the movements are a little bit more kind of in like a staccato, kind of frenetic look to it. And you'll see a kind of hardening through the face, sometimes deep lines, or you can see that it's sucking life from them. It's just this continual light little misting of cortisol and adrenaline and negativity running through them. And then you see them having these certain problems that you know are telltale signs of low vibration energy. And you'll see that sign when in effect what's happening is that rather than being committed to giving, to growing, to expanding, and offering more life and energy to the world, they're very much committed to very, very specific results, but not in a healthy way where they can offer more value to the world and they're not being apathetic. But I've had friends that I see dipping into low vibration, and they'll tell me that like some crazy stuff when I've seen them in their certain moves. These are friends of mine, so what's up if you're listening? One of my friends, he said he wanted to become a male porn star. And I could tell at that point he's going low vibration because he just wants to take. Now, to be fair, I think every guy on the planet's probably had that thought at some point. So come on, right? But he was like, he wasn't just thinking about it. Maybe everybody's been serious about it, but you see the point, right? He was really like on the verge of doing it. And you'll see it where maybe they start engaging in business practices where it's just take. And it's like, whoa, slow your roll. Why did you even get into this? Have you forgotten why you originally got into this? You can see it where they get so physically oriented. They become so oriented in the physical world, they've lost that connection to the energetic world. And so generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to get it to where you're aligned to high vibration energy, and it's actually fueling you, and you're becoming more present from it, more happy, making better decisions, aligned to it, in service and in surrender. So a great thing to do is simply feel that high vibration energy in your body. Let it move through you. What is its intelligence? What does it want? What does it want to do? How does it want to share? And allow that to take you to the point of being that transcendent talent, that incredible transcendence that we see even in many of the top sports athletes that accomplish amazing things. They often tap into that state. So learn to see the difference right in the eyes. And learn to, and they often say, there's an old expression, if you sit by the river long enough, the dead bodies of your enemies will go floating by. Kind of dark expression. But what that means is that as you go through life, you get to see the consequences of people's decisions and the good that they got from their decisions and the bad. Nobody's all one way or the other, right? It's not one way. People are complicated. Our souls are in flux. But generally speaking, what happens is that at these certain key moments, we're going to have pain, and we can either get bitter or better. And this is what I'll leave you with. My last thought for you, as we sit out here on this crazy day, thank you so much for sharing this with me, is that it is the specific moments at which we're tested, our souls are tested, that we have a decision to get bitter or better. And it's in that moment where we can't be attached to the physical anymore. We get hit, bam, hit. It gives us a choice to either go into victim because the physical world doesn't look like how you want it to look, or we can move back into the spirit. We can say we're not going to be based out there, grounded and rooted out there. We're going to move back within into presence, joy, sharing, love, happiness, non-resistance, the infinite, peace, enlightenment. We can move back into that. And as we do so in life, we come in and out, because life will get good for a minute, so we get pulled back in. Bang, you get hit, and you're pulled back. Some people, like say Nelson Mandela, they'll be tested in ways where they'll be forced to come at peace. He went to jail for 27 years, I think it was. I visited South Africa. I met F.W. de Klerk, the guy who kind of got him out, president of the country at the time. And great book, Long Walk to Freedom, his journey. And he was truly tested. For those, many of us who are truly deeply tested may encounter situations that test us so deeply. And I believe that that can happen when we're truly called upon to move up, where life events can happen that are so painful, so horrific, and disappointing and humiliating that it forces us to go so much deeper. And a guy like Nelson Mandela can come out of that almost as though he is a living saint. And to me, that's the most beautiful thing, when we can see that. And it reminds us that there's a much, much deeper element to why we're here on this earth. There's a larger game, a bigger game being played that's more important than anything that would seem important on the surface. So that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you for sharing this beautiful day with me and my friends. And I'm very excited about all of our future conversations. I want to go so much deeper with you, okay? We're a family. I love you very much. You're loved. You have amazing potential, bigger and greater than anything you can ever imagine. And I'm so excited for you of what you could accomplish. We're on this path. Thanks for being here. And I'm gonna wrap up this day soon. Enjoy my ride back, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. All right, thanks. Good job, that's a clap for the cameramen too.